This will probably be one of the shortest intros you'll ever hear on any video on this channel, because we already know how much of a beast Erling Haaland is. I mean, I would excuse if you don't know him because, it's not like he set a new record for goal scoring in a single season in the Premier League, so he's not one of the best strikers ever, so I would understand if you didn't know him. He wasn't even the first Haaland to play straight in the Premier League. That was his dad. But how good was he? Welcome to Football Reminisce, and this is the career story of Erling Haaland. Erling Haaland was born in Stavanger, Norway in 1972. From an early age, he expressed his love for football, and at just 6 years old, he joined the Reminisce Academy, the youth team in the area he was being brought up in. He spent more than 10 years in the youth setup before being promoted to the first team at the age of 17. He signed his first professional contract a year later. Alfie continued to develop, spending 4 years with the Reminisce first team, helping them to the second division promotion playoffs in 1990 and 1991. Unfortunately, they did not get promoted to the first division despite getting close 3 years in a row. Scouts are taking notice of Haaland, a player labeled as tough, honest, and hardworking, a warrior. Words that can be used when talking about a certain Roy Keane. But let's not jump the gun yet. Nottingham Forest showed their interest in October of 1992, the inaugural Premier League season. The transfer was a bit complicated though. Manager Brian Clough never got his man. In fact, Haaland didn't get to join Nottingham until December of 1993, 14 months later. By that time, the Reds had already been relegated to the first division. And by that time, several players had already departed, including Roy Keane. If you already know the story, imagine how crazy it would have been to have Keane and Haaland in the same team. If there wasn't any complications with that transfer, it actually would have happened. If you aren't familiar with the story, don't worry, this will not be the last time you hear about Keane on this video. Haaland joined Nottingham under Frank Clark, but only made 3 appearances that season, a campaign in which Forest regained their Premier League status right away. The next season, he made his Premier League debut and went on to make another 19 league appearances that season, scoring his first and only Premier League goal that year against Ipswich in a 4-1 win. His performances at right back helped Nottingham keep 13 clean sheets, securing a third place finish and UEFA Cup qualification in their first season back in the top flight. He only made 17 appearances in his second season at the City Ground, but in his third season, he was a shining light in a dark season for Forest. He played in 35 of the 38 matches in the league that year, scoring 6 goals from fullback and defensive midfield positions. A brace in a 2-1 home win against Arsenal was the highlight of his season. And an equaliser from Haaland! Despite Forest being relegated that year, Haaland always gave 100%. His main duty was to break up play in midfield and sometimes man-mark the winger at right back, but he would often push forward and nick a goal or two for his team. With Nottingham relegated, Leeds secured his services in July of 1997. In his debut season, he had the first of 2 incidents with Roy Keane. In a match between Leeds and Man United, Roy Keane went down in the box injured. Haaland and teammate Weatherall stood over the injured Keane, criticizing him for pretending to be hurt to get a penalty, when in actuality the Irish midfielder was indeed injured, a ruptured ACL that kept him out for a year. Safe to say, Keane did not forget about that incident, but we will be back on that one later. In the 3 seasons Haaland spent at Leeds, he played 74 Premier League games as he finished 5th, 4th and 3rd. He featured a lot under George Graham and then as a utility player in the David O'Leary regime. In the 1999-2000 season, Haaland put up several outstanding performances in the UEFA Cup. The standout, a 1-0 victory over Roma. Alfie played at centre-half and kept the likes of Totti quiet. Leeds reached the UEFA Cup semis that year. Manchester City purchased the Norwegian for £2.5 million in the summer of 2000. As a side note, Erling Haaland was born in the same summer. Erling Haaland and old foe Roy Keane would renew their rivalry that season. In April of 2001, City took on United in the derby. This happened. A tackle that can be described as assault. A tackle that in today's age would get you a lifetime ban and probably a prison sentence. Roy Keane was immediately sent off and fined £5,000. In his autobiography a year later, Keane admitted that the tackle was an act of revenge for what had happened 3.5 years prior. Keane was fined an additional £150,000 and handed a further 5-match ban. Haaland underwent surgery on his left knee that summer and went on to make only 4 more appearances for City after failing to make a full recovery. Most believed that that tackle from Roy Keane resulted in that injury, but Haaland later stated that he had been carrying that injury long before that. Haaland also said, "I dislike Manchester United and I can't stand their players." Some articles have actually suggested that his son Erling Haaland would have been a Man United player if not for the hate his dad had for them. Alfie retired in July of 2003 following that injury. He came out of retirement at 39 to play for Brainer-based club Roseland. He played less than 10 games for them before retiring for a second time in 2013. Alfie played 239 professional matches and also had the opportunity of representing his country between 1994 and 2001, earning 34 caps. His son is known for his scary attacking threat, goals and records, but Alfie handled most of his business on the other side of the pitch, a tough tackling Viking enforcer whose job was to protect his side, an individual who would run through a brick wall for his teammates. That wasn't all he could do though. From time to time, he would score crucial goals, especially in his early days with Nottingham Forest and Leeds United. Erling Haaland will for sure leave a lasting legacy in Premier League football, but Alfie created the path. If you got to watch Alfie during his prime years, I would love to hear from you what you made of him as a footballer. That Leeds team that Haaland played for was pretty good. He didn't have to score too many goals, that wasn't his job. There was a certain Hasselbank who did that efficiently. He actually won the Golden Boot in 1999 and has one of the craziest football stories ever. Click on the video on screen to take a look for yourself.